Phoenix, it's time to bring on another question. I didn't do the intro thing. Welcome to Bring On the Questions, where Phoenix and I, Will, that's my name, and I'm also her dad, will take a random question and come up with an attempt to answer it the best way we can. So, Miss Phoenix, what question are we attempting to answer in this episode?
What is an albatwitch?
An albatwitch. First official cryptid creature episode. After our cryptozoology, I'm going to talk about cryptozoology, blah, blah, blah.
Just the introduction to many cryptids.
So many. But that's not the plan. The plan is not cryptid after cryptid after cryptid after cryptid. The plan is to do a cryptid here and there.
But we had to do cryptozoology so then we knew
what it was.
What cryptids were.
Right. And I basically just said the next line. We just went over that. The overwhelming majority of reported albatwitch sightings are concentrated within Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, particularly in the vicinity of Chickies Rock and along the Susquehanna River. You know, we live real close to the Susquehanna River, but not that far down. Lancaster is a bit further south. And I want to talk about that in a second. It's in Pennsylvania, especially in that area, it is pronounced Lancaster. Now, in California, it's spelled the same exact way, but it's pronounced Lancaster.
Sounds weird to me.
That's just how it works in different places.
I'm used to Lancaster.
Yep, Lancaster. You just kind of flows together. I don't know. But another podcast I listen to is Stuff You Should Know. Those guys try to pronounce the locations like the locals. So they don't say Missouri, even though basically everybody else says Missouri. The locals say Missouri. I know. Your face doesn't translate to the audio medium.
Not even
Missouri. I know. And then Toronto, Canada. Toronto. Or something like that anyway. Could be slightly off, but we've actually never been to those places to know for sure. One day we might go on tour.
We stay on the West Coast right now.
No, East Coast. Mostly. We're close to the East Coast. All right. To get things started with the albatwitch, I have a couple of recent encounters. On a cold, dark morning in February 2002, Rick Fisher was driving along Route 23 somewhere near Marietta, Pennsylvania, when in the distance he spotted what looked like a person in the middle of the road. As he neared, he slowed significantly because the person he saw appeared to be a child. He described what he saw as, quote, a stick-thin figure, about 5 feet tall, covered with hair. The figure had its back turned to Fisher. He flipped his high beams on to get a better look, and the figure turned towards him. Staring back at Fisher were 2 yellow eyes. Then it was as if the figure just vanished. Fisher would later find out that he had encountered an albatwitch. He would go on to have more personal experiences and collect more stories that led him to write Ghosts of the River Towns, published in May of 2019. More recently, Fisher investigated another alleged albatwitch encounter that happened on the evening of Saturday, April 13th, 2024, at Lancaster Conservancy's Fishing Creek Nature Preserve, almost exactly 1 year before this recording.
That is a whole week before 1 year.
Right.
7 days.
Right. It's because today is the 6th of April.
Recording.
Right. So this encounter happened a year ago that I'm about to read. This comes directly from unchartedlancaster.com. They have some pretty interesting things on there. I did the full quote here because to me it's a little convoluted. It doesn't paint a clear picture of the encounter, so to me it makes the encounter seem less valid. I hope that makes sense, and it might make more sense after I read it. So the quote goes on for several lines, but I'll quote and unquote as necessary. Quote, the witness's account of that Saturday night began with strange, unnerving noises echoing from across the creek. The unsettling sounds persisted throughout the evening, accompanied by a distinct wet dog odor. At one point, they even suspected something was hurled at them, although it was difficult to ascertain whether it was intentional or simply an object falling from the trees. As the night wore on, the witness ventured out to relieve himself, with his companion waiting in the car, the headlights casting an eerie glow. It was then that he caught sight of it, a face resembling that of a monkey, peering out from behind a slender tree just 10 feet away. The face was pale, not entirely white, with dark, piercing eyes that seemed to lock onto his. Despite his repeated exclamations of disbelief, the creature remained motionless, its expression neither hostile nor agitated. Then, in a heartbeat, it vanished, ducking behind the tree. The tree, barely a foot wide, seemed an improbable hiding place for something of its size. Determined to find evidence, the witness immediately checked the area but found no signs, only the lingering wet dog smell, which his buddy confirmed. Although he only glimpsed the face, he assumed it belonged to a body that blended into the darkness. The estimated height of the crouched-down creature was just under 3 feet. And my confusion, end quote, right there, just under 3 feet. And my confusion is it sounds like they're camping, but he got out of the car to relieve himself. What kind of camping is that? Maybe that's weird, like middle of Pennsylvania camping.
Glamping?
This is a year ago, right? Maybe.
Yeah, because that was a such thing.
Glamping. But he got out of a car. The witness account of that Saturday night began with strange, unnerving noises echoing from across the creek. The unsettling sounds persisted throughout the evening, so it sounds like they're camping next to the edge of a creek. So cool, they have their camp set up next to a creek. Sounds persisted through the evening. Yep, sounds like they're hunkered down and listening for an extended period of time. Hours maybe. But then, as the night wore on, the witness ventured out to relieve himself with his companion waiting in the car. What? Are they camping in the car?
Maybe they're having a little slumber party in the car. People will do that.
Yeah.
Sleeping in their bed of the truck.
Yeah. Maybe I'm judging. Maybe they didn't have the means to get a tent, but really wanted to camp somewhere, so they just stayed in the car. Or whatever other kind of odd partying they might have been doing.
I do have a feeling I know what was being thrown possibly at them. I won't give it away. I won't spoil it.
It's almost in the name. You want to read the next line? All right, let's get past those campers.
Is it past the quotes?
Yeah. One that starts with, all right, let's get past the tentless campers.
Alright, let's get past the tentless campers. What did we learn about the Albatwitch in this encounter? Wet dog odor, it threw things, pale, not white monkey-like face, dark piercing eyes, although its expression was not hostile or agitated, and an estimated height of 3 feet or under. All important descriptions will add to.
Right. Rick Fisher went to the site of the encounter to see if he could learn more. He determined that where the creature had been was too packed down to retain any tracks, but he found what looked like heel and footprints near the creek. He found some bones near where the witnesses had parked, but that was it. A half-mile up the road, he found a path that led down to the creek with some shoe prints and a bare footprint about 7 inches long. But that could have easily been made by a child or someone from the nearby cattle and horse farm. Shoe prints?
Yes.
Well, it seems like somebody was walking along the edge of the creek with their shoes on. It's April. Well, not. Was that half a mile up the road? There were shoe prints and a bare footprint. So it was near the horse and cattle farm. So could be one of the kids of that farm.
Or maybe the farmer taking on his cattle.
Right, but there are no cattle prints.
But it's
Could have been one of the kids. That's just my thought. Is one of the kids went down there, but why just the one bare footprint? How do you get one? Take your shoe off, put your foot in the mud, put it back on.
maybe you lost your shoe for a minute and you're hopping on one foot.
Or it was an Albatwitch. But with shoes on, the whole thing's confusing.
He was doing handstands with leftover boots.
Who knows?
Who really knows?
Want to take the next line?
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of the descriptions for the albatwitch. Rick Fisher described it as a stick-thin, 5 feet tall, and covered in fur. Last year's encounter added a pale, not quite white, monkey-like face, dark-piercing eyes, some light yellow, plus the odor of a wet dog. The fur has been described as dark brown or black. Put all those things together and it sounds like a juvenile Bigfoot. The only thing that throws that off is the stick, thin, or slender build that has been described. But maybe Bigfoots are skinny little things until they reach a certain age and then bulk up to reach full adult Bigfootness.
Is it a plural thing? Bigfoots? Big feet? How many are there? Is it just one? But the Albatwitch, a juvenile Bigfoot. What do you think of that?
Makes sense.
Unless the 5 feet tall version is the full grown version of the Albatwitch, and that's just a hairy hominid out there. You think?
I mean, there's multiple species of Bigfoot creatures.
You mean like gorilla type primates?
I mean, like humanoid,
Hairy men of the woods. The Bigfoots and the Sasquatches and the Yetis and the abominable snowmans, which they could be the same thing. Yetis and the abominable snowman.
I mean, Sasquatch and Bigfoot are kind of also
Right.
Depends on where you're at.
Just hairy wild men. Hairy wild bipedal dudes.
A mix of primates and
People?
evolved primates. Maybe they're the in-between that live forever. Or live for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Bigfoots are the in-between humans and primates? I don't hate that idea. I like it.
What was before us?
Neanderthals? Or Neanderthals? That's a whole other thing we may or may not get into one day.
Evolution.
Mm-hmm. All right. Back to the Albatwitches, the mini Bigfoots, or not. I'm not totally sure. Another account involves a man named Dwight who described seeing a short, hairy creature estimated to be between 4 and 5 feet tall near a golf course. Historical reports also exist with similar creatures being sighted on Chickies Road in the 1950s and 70s and in Lancaster and Annville in 1973. This is where we get into what may have been tossed at the Odd Witnesses 1 year ago. Take it.
The name Albatwitch is widely understood to be
Portmanteau,
Pennsylvania Dutch, and English, translating to apple snitch or apple thief. This moniker directly references the creature's purported habit of piffling apples. Alternatively, interpret.
Was this sentence so hard? Was the whole paragraph that hard?
Shouldn't be this hard. Interpretations of the German origins of the name suggest meanings such as apple elf, elf spirit, or gliding, escaping elf spirit.
Germans be crazy, man.
Yeah, they have words for everything.
Even certain emotions. Maybe we'll get into that someday. There'll be some more in a different episode for sure. Yeah. The Albatwitch legend also has connections to the folklore of local Native American groups, including the Susquehannocks and the Algonquin. The Susquehannock Indians are reported to have depicted creatures resembling the Albatwitch on their war shields and held a belief in an ape-like being inhabiting the local woodlands. Furthermore, the Algonquin people recounted tales of a small, hairy hominid known as Magamuwisus. And I said Indians in there. Now, there's a lot of political correctness with, guess maybe we shouldn't have said that. So they're Native Americans is good, and some people are okay with the term Indians. Spoken to people, personally. Been doing field work myself. For my work. I've spoken to people and they're like, hey man, what do you think? And he's like, I don't care. But he's like, my aunts care. So Native Americans, indigenous peoples, but definitely respect peoples in general. But the whole thing there is very interesting. So that means that the potential hairy hominid, the miniature Sasquatch, miniature Bigfoot in the area, these people have had them on their war shields for centuries.
Hundreds of years.
Right. So it appears as though they've known something's been in the woods for that much time. Besides them, a hairy bipedal thing out there.
Hairy humanoid ape-like creature.
Right. So I don't know if they must not have a language. They're just creatures that are out there messing with apples, throwing apples from across the creek or something.
Stealing, throwing apples, just
apple snitches. Albatwitches. The evolution of the word. Historical accounts suggest that the Albatwitch legend has been circulating for over a century, with newspaper articles from around 125 years ago mentioning campers embarking on Albatwitch hunts. Legend also has it that this small, hairy creature was known to trouble picnickers at Chickies Rock in the 1800s by stealing their apples and even pelting them with the cores. By the 1920s, the Albatwitch appears to have become a familiar figure in local lore, even serving as the subject of a game among Boy Scouts, with methods of capture mirroring those used for snipe hunting. Now, a quick note on snipe hunting. A snipe hunt is a type of practical joke or fool's errand in existence in North America as early as the 1840s, in which an unsuspecting newcomer is duped into trying to catch an elusive, non-existent animal called a snipe. Although snipe are an actual family of birds, a snipe hunt is a quest for a creature whose description varies. Now, does that remind you of anything?
Bigfoot hunt?
Nope. The movie Up.
Oh.
Remember when Mr. Fredrickson told Russell, we're hunting snipe? Here, snipey, snipey, snipey. Oh, big snipe. It's Kevin.
Yeah.
Mr. Fredrickson. Old-timey Joker.
It's been a while since I've watched that movie, so I kind of forgot.
But, I mean, that was a practical joke. Mr. Fredrickson just wanted to get Russell out of the way so he could figure out what was going on. So I think that's when the house landed in the jungle. Well, they found Kevin, so yeah.
Doug come from? I'm pretty sure they also found Doug.
Yeah. Was it? Oh man, I have to go back and watch it. Who came first, Kevin or Doug?
I think it was Doug.
Was it?
Pretty sure.
Didn't they float back up and they landed in all the fog area? Did they already have Kevin? Man. We gotta stop with that. We'll have to watch it again. But the whole snipe hunt thing, hunting albatwitches, it was a Boy Scout game. You know, go hunt an albatwitch, but you're really not going to find anything unless they do. But there's no accounts of any Boy Scouts finding anything like that.
The reference that group of birds, certain birds, is called a snipe reminds me that how many groups of animals have such weird names. Like a group of crows is a murder.
Right.
A group of flamingos is a flamboyance. And a group of hippos is a float.
I didn't know that one. And a group is it chimpanzees? Or is it, I think it's some sort of primate. There's a congress. Maybe it's baboons.
A group of ravens is an unkindness.
It's hilarious. Maybe sometime we'll get into the etymology of those words.
I think my favorite is flamboyant because it really fits.
Flamboyance of flamingos. The alliteration is nice too.
With the FL.
Yep.
FLA.
Yep. I like it.
Me too.
You know, almost a tongue twister. So it's tongue twister, apparently. Interestingly, the term albatwitch, yeah, a similarly described creature appears in early 20th century compilations of fearsome critters, sometimes being presented as a practical joke dating back to 1925. However, one source raises the possibility that the albatwitch legend, despite its Pennsylvania Dutch associations, might not have originated before the early 1900s. The consistent connection between the apple snitch etymology and the reported apple stealing behavior strongly indicates this is a fundamental aspect of the albatwitch narrative. This clear link between the name and the creature's defining action likely contributes to the folklore's enduring nature and ease of transmission. Furthermore, the presence of similar small, hairy hominid figures in both European, Pennsylvania Dutch/German, and Native American, Susquehannock and Algonquin, folklore suggests a potential merging of cultural beliefs. So maybe the two peoples came together and were like, that's a funny story about the little hairy creature. I got a story just like it. Then eventually, as time goes on, the story evolved. The narrative of those things evolved in together. Could be.
I mean, happened to many things.
Mm-hmm. So many things. In our next episode, we'll also get into it with other things. We already got it figured out. Next episode, we don't have all the notes together, but we're getting there. Want to take this next bit?
Sure. The German concept of an apple elf and the Algonquin tales of a small hairy hominid could have combined and evolved into the albatwitch legend through early interactions between these groups.
What I just said. Yeah.
The Susquehannock depiction on war shields further supports a pre-existing belief in groups in such a creature in the region. The transformation of the albatwitch from a potentially serious legend in the 19th century to a game for Boy Scouts in the 1920s and subsequently a celebrated local cryptid with its own festival illustrates the fluid nature of folklore. I can't talk.
You'll get there eventually. More practice. But more on that festival soon. Some accounts suggest that a whip-like sound, possibly resulting from the breaking of branches as it moves through the trees, or the clacking of stones in the wild, can indicate the Albatwitch is nearby. The seemingly contradictory portrayal of the Albatwitch as both a playful apple thief and a potentially frightening creature with glowing eyes highlights the multifaceted nature of folklore. This duality could reflect different aspects of human interaction with the unknown or the evolution of the legend over time. Kind of spoke on that. From a scientific standpoint, the Albatwitch is classified as a cryptid, meaning its existence has not been verified by mainstream science due to a lack of conclusive evidence. Ain't no Albatwitch poop out there. No concrete physical evidence, such as bones or hair samples definitively belonging to an Albatwitch, has been presented to substantiate its existence. It is plausible that some reported sightings of a small, hairy creature could be cases of misidentification of known animals, including raccoons, possums, or even young bears. The monkey-like face described in one sighting could also point towards the misidentification of a more common animal. The enduring nature of the Albatwitch legend is likely sustained by local folklore, the tradition of storytelling, and the inherent human curiosity about the unknown. The fact that a considerable portion of the population admits to having had unexplained or paranormal experiences suggests a general openness to believing in such phenomena. Skeptical viewpoints exist, with some suggesting the Albatwitch might simply be a product of folklore or misinterpretations of natural occurrences. Awesome, huh?
What if they got apple core samples?
Just check out apple cores that are out there in the woods.
I mean, just look for ones that drop or that hit you.
Look for apple cores that are not anywhere near an apple tree, or the ones that hit you, like you said. Because deer will eat apples also. There's tons of deer all over Pennsylvania. And they would, I guess they would carry the apple with them. I don't know if deer would just eat the whole thing, or if they would leave the core behind. They might leave some of it behind. But they definitely go after apples. I could see them hanging around under a tree. But deer don't really throw things. Just themselves.
Yeah.
At cars.
Or other deer.
Yeah. True.
Especially bucks.
Right. But I can't see them flinging apples.
They don't really have hands at all.
No. So.
They got hooves.
Right. Ungulates? Is that what creatures of the hooves are called? I think that's what they're called. So ungulates would be lamb, sheep, cows, deer, goats. Maybe I'm conflating a bunch of things. Maybe they're not all ungulates. Anyway, do you want to take the next bunch there?
Sure. I can't even say it.
What? The absence of scientific validation?
The absence of scientific validation firmly positions the Albatwitch within the realm of folklore and cryptozoology. While numerous
anecdotal
sightings have been reported, the lack of tangible evidence necessitates a skeptical perspective from the scientific community. The possibility of misidentifying common smaller nocturnal animals offers a plausible explanation for some Albatwitch sightings. The human tendency to interpret ambiguous stimuli through the lens of existing beliefs and folklore can also contribute to such misinterpretations. The annual Albatwitch Day Festival, while a celebration of the legend, implicitly im- yeah, implicit
Implicitly.
implicitly acknowledges the folkloric nature. The event serves as a community gathering and a way to engage with the local history and culture, rather than a scientific endeavor to prove the creature's existence.
Yes. Albatwitch Day. Well, wouldn't that be fun? We'll tell you more about it here in a second. What's the website?
Albatwitchday.com.
We don't have any affiliation yet. While some legends suggest the albatwitch became extinct in the late 19th century, more recent sightings and continued interest indicate a prevailing belief that it may still exist. The uncertainty surrounding the albatwitch's extinction contributes to its ongoing mystique. The possibility that it might still exist, despite older claims of extinction, keeps the legend alive and encourages continued interest in reported sightings. And speaking of continued interest, on Saturday, October 11th, 2025, Columbia, Pennsylvania will be celebrating the 12th annual Albatwitch Day. Chris Vera and Rick Fisher, we named earlier with the book Ghosts of River Towns, whatever it was, co-founded Albatwitch Day after Fisher was inspired by the Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. That event occurs September 20th and 21st, 2025. We'll definitely dive into Mothman in a future episode.
Oh, yeah.
There's also, I know for sure, there's also a Snallygaster festival in Maryland. I don't know what time of year it is, though. Probably fall, late summer.
Isn't it like the weird mountain goat?
It's a weird, it's a bunch of creatures all together. It's like a lizard, bird, taloned, beaked thing. I don't know. It's crazy. You already mentioned albatwitchday.com. We don't have any affiliation, which is something I found while doing the research, but it seemed like a great time to me, especially that haunted trolley tour. During one tour, 5 sets of red glowing eyes were reportedly witnessed in the woods near Zion Hill Cemetery. How about that? Since they've been doing the festival, they have these trolley tours, haunted trolley tours. It's October. We're getting close to Halloween. And one of them, supposedly, 5 sets of red glowing eyes were reported near the cemetery. Oh yeah.
Demons or albatwitches?
Furthermore, Chris Vera has mentioned receiving at least 15 reports of similar sightings occurring along the Susquehanna River. Seems to me there are lots of chances to encounter an albatwitch in the area, despite scientists shutting it down.
Look at this now.
Now, is that how we're gonna? I mean, that's the conclusion of our notes. You're just gonna look at the what?
Keeps taking me to the website.
Snallygaster.com?
Yeah, dc.com.
SnallygasterDC.com?
Yeah, there's a website. I think it's about the festival.
Oh, well,
in Washington, D.C.
They have the cherry blossoms, they have the... And then they have Snallygaster.
Oh, yeah, I remember this weird creature. Weird bird, one-eyed, tentacle, mouse.
Yeah? Yeah, we'll get to that sometime.
That's right.
Gorgeous.
Terrifying.
That's all the notes we have on Albatwitch. Albatwitch Day is in October. Would be awesome to go there. Columbia, Pennsylvania is a couple hours away, I think.
As of right now, there is 187 days, 16 hours, 35 minutes, and 50-some seconds until Albatwitch.
Countdown on their website. Awesome.
Also has some videos. There's tour guides of.
Yep, tour guide stuff. There's a bunch of goodies on there. Check out. There's a video. One of the things that you can tour there, which I thought was pretty fascinating. It's on their website.
Legends of Lancaster. Yeah,
yep. One thing you can tour is a dungeon or a jail cell, and apparently, Mr. Thomas A. Edison himself was arrested one night for going too fast in a carriage. Oh dear, going over 20 miles per hour. Mr. Edison, what were you thinking? Going to a light bulb or something?
Yeah. Didn't he accidentally invent the match?
The match?
Someone accidentally invented the match.
Something else we could dig into.
Yeah. But it says Columbia Market House Dungeon Tours.
Oh yeah.
15th South 3rd Street, Columbia, PA. 17512.
Good night. You just gave everybody the address. There you go.
You can remember that. Just look that up.
I put a little outro that we can practice here. See that? One of it can say first part, and then the other one can say the other part. Which one do you want?
I'll take the second one.
Okay. Question brought.
Question answer.
And that's it. Kind of a shorty, but that's okay. I thought it was going to be a little longer.
Thought it was going to be like all the other ones.
That's it. We're out. A production of Wayward Things Network.